Honourable Minister for Finance, do you think it would work better if, for example, the Minister for Local Government writes all cows to say, okay, all cows, because the cows know, all cows who have pending payments for councillors, okay? And he compiles and then they submit you finance. Instead of members, each member coming to look for the minister. No, I'm saying the Minister for Local Government writes all cows and compiles and submits to finance. Would that work better, Honourable Minister?
You are reasoning, and I buy into it, because we have the accounting officers on station. And sometimes why we are saying provide, therefore let the cows write to the accounting officer.
Senyonyi made a follow-up on the matter of the repatriation process of Ugandans from South Africa. Right Honourable Speaker, you guided that I present a comprehensive statement on the matter to this House. I therefore beg to proceed. Right Honourable Speaker, I am grateful for this opportunity to update this august House on the measures undertaken by the government of Uganda in response to the recent attacks against foreign nationals in the Republic of South Africa and the evacuation of our citizens whose safety was at risk. Honorable colleagues, in mid-June 2026, vigilante pressure groups, principally the March to March group, issued a self-imposed deadline of 30th June, demanding that all undocumented foreign nationals leave South Africa. This ultimatum regrettably contributed to attacks against foreign nationals and damage to business owned by migrants from across the African continent. I wish to place on record our profound appreciations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for his timely directive that arrangements be made to evacuate our citizens whose safety had placed in jeopardy. Pursuant to that directive, the Right Honourable Prime Minister coordinated my ministry, the Minister of Works and Transport, the Chief of Defence Forces, Uganda Airlines, the Uganda High Commission in Pretoria, and the leadership of the Ugandan community in South Africa, and also Minister of Finance. I'm happy to report that as of Tuesday, 7th July 2026, a total of 808 Ugandans had been repatriated back home. and we will continue to coordinate emergency support. The next phase of the emergency airlift includes one additional flight expected today, Wednesday, 8th July 2026, at 6 p.m. expected to carry an additional 250 evacuees. Accordingly, by the end of today, we shall expect to have successfully evacuated 1,130 citizens, Ugandan citizens from South Africa. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, the phenomenon of xenophobic violence in South Africa is not new. Since early 1990s and more visibly from 2008 onwards, the country has experienced periodic outbreaks targeting foreign nationals, often in communities grappling with severe unemployment, poverty, inequality, pressure on public services, and competition for informal trading spaces and employment opportunities. These underlying pressures, coupled with reports that several evacuees had lived in the country for many years without documentation, underscored the need for urgent, coordinated, and decisive action by the state. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, no grievance, however deeply felt, can ever justify violence against fellow Africans. Where criminality is alleged, it must be addressed through lawful and orderly processes, and must never be attributed collectively to any nationality or group of people. Acts of xenophobia erode social cohesion, undermine public order, and offend the principles of human dignity, justice, peaceful coexistence, and most importantly, Pan-African solidarity. Uganda and South Africa enjoy warm, historic, and mutually beneficial bilateral relations, strengthened through trade, investment, education, tourism, defense cooperation, and people-to-people exchanges. It is therefore imperative that these incidents be addressed firmly, lawfully, and constructively, without diminishing the enduring friendship, mutual respect, and cooperation that exists between the two countries. My ministry continues to engage our South African counterparts through established diplomatic channels to ensure the safety and welfare of our citizens. We note with appreciation the assurances given by the authorities in Pretoria regarding the protection of our legally documented persons with their property within their jurisdiction, as well as their commitment to investigate incidents of violence and ensure that those responsible are held in accordance with the law. Also remind us of the need to intensify state-led interventions aimed at addressing unemployment and expanding opportunities for our people, including programs such as the Partial Development Model and other wealth creation programs, so that Ugandans are increasingly able to pursue dignified and sustainable livelihoods at home. On behalf of the government of Uganda, I extend my deepest condolences to the families of the 3 Ugandan nationals who lost their lives. I also extend heartfelt sympathies to all affected persons and reassure Ugandans in South Africa that their safety, dignity, and welfare remain our priority. Our High Commission continues to monitor developments closely, engage the Ugandan community, and liaise with the competent South African authorities to provide consular assistance. Our citizens are encouraged to remain vigilant, avoid areas of unrest, comply with the laws of the host country, and maintain regular contact with our High Commission. Honorable colleagues, as we reflect on these regrettable events, Uganda remains steadfast in its conviction that peaceful and harmonious coexistence among the people of Africa is both possible and necessary for our shared prosperity. Uganda remains the leading refugee hosting country in Africa and continues to pursue an open and progressive refugee policy grounded in solidarity, compassion, and shared responsibility. Our national experience demonstrates that diversity, when embraced, can be a source of strength. We shall therefore continue to champion peaceful coexistence, lawful immigration, and the protection of human dignity, while working with our partners to ensure that the rights and safety of our citizens abroad are upheld. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for this update. Maybe also for the record, like I said yesterday, on top of the law, you had contacted me a day before that you had a statement read and you wanted to update the House. So I want to thank you for being foresighted in such a manner. So I will, we have a shadow minister for foreign affairs. I'll give her 3 minutes if she has anything she would want to say with regard to the matter, the side of opposition. Honorable Joanna Alobo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable. Thank you, Minister, for this information. And I want to thank government for what it has done so far in bringing back our people from South Africa to Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, it's with a heavy heart that today we address an issue that goes beyond diplomacy. And it's an issue of human dignity, African solidarity, and our responsibility as a nation to protect the lives and welfare of Ugandans within and outside the country. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. You have tried to elaborate some of the things, but you need to come out strong on our diplomatic relations with the Republic of South Africa until there is credible evidence. What is your say? Until there is credible evidence that it is safe for the people of Uganda to travel. There are many questions that are coming in that the people who are already scheduled to travel, what assurance do you give Ugandans who have that inevitable program to get to South Africa and their safety? Honorable Minister, we also need to understand many of the families in Uganda of the people who have been brought back are making several calls and wondering why they are not able to see their people. In the instance that many of the people who have been brought back, or all, if I'm not mistaken, are being taken to Chankwanzi. May we know why these people are being kept at Chankwanzi from the time they were repatriated, because the families are in Wonderland, what their family members are doing in Chankwanzi. We are... We may have to know whether all are cadres or it's a training for the NRM leadership, something, so we get to tell the public what is happening in Changkwanzi. You also need to come out very strong on the total loss to Ugandans to be compensated. If we remember very well, when there was an issue in South Sudan, the Ugandans who lost their properties and everything was compensated by the government of Uganda. You need to come out very strong, the compensation schedule, or what is the compensation you're going to give to these people that you have brought back. Many of these people had businesses in South Africa. Bringing them back to stay at home, we need to know how we are going to manage the people who have come back because they've left their businesses there. Honorable Minister, you are also aware that most of our borrowing is from Stanbic, which is a South African bank, and MTN. And this bank, we are all aware that it repatriates over 6 trillion.
Honorable Shadow Minister, kindly please don't take that line. Please. I just want to guide, okay? Yeah, let us be patriotic leaders. Let us be patriotic leaders. Let us not, please, I'm the one seated here and I'm the one who has guided, okay? These are private companies. Let us not start this here on the floor. It's not good for this country. I would request you, my sister, Joanna Robo, okay? Kind of continue.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the guidance. But I only wanted to find out if we intend to have any other sources of borrowing if anything goes wrong between South Africa and Uganda. Thank you for the guidance. I also want the minister to come out strongly and has the government of Uganda, particularly Kampala and Pretoria, so far been in any discussions to ensure control and restoration of security of persons and properties of the Ugandans?
Thank you. Thank you. Honourable Minister. These are very critical issues raised by the Shadow Minister.
Thank you very much, Lord Honourable Speaker, and I thank the Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs for raising these pertinent issues. Lord Honourable Speaker, about the Changkwanzi, yes, because she raised.
Honourable, don't respond to people from the side. Remain on the script.
Thank you, Right Honourable, for the protection. Because the member said that people went to Changkwanzi and their relatives cannot access them. So this is the point I'm making. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, when the first group arrived at Entebbe, they indeed requested to have a meeting with the president. Yes, and I informed the president and he accepted. But you know, we have been bringing these people in bits. So we agreed with them that we need to have a one holding ground so that they go, but as we continue talking to them, because you see, these people have been traumatized. And now talking to them is like a therapy. And I tell you, they are very appreciative. Very appreciative. To the extent, Right Honourable, to the extent that honorable colleagues, to the extent that even those that had come back on their own are now requesting to be put on the list to access Kyangwanzi. This is a very good achievement, and indeed, they are very, very happy for this arrangement. Right Honorable Speaker, the Shadow Minister also raised issues to do with these companies of ours that are here. You know, honorable colleagues, Ugandans...
Honorable Minister, she did not.
She did not.
It's you raising it.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Another issue was to do with those that have already scheduled to travel to South Africa. Let them continue with their travel. This problem, yes, these attacks are on those Ugandan nationals, in fact African nationals that are in South Africa undocumented illegally. But it does not mean that there is a ban. And by the way, members, I need to inform you that this is not authorized by government of South Africa. The government of South Africa is not behind this. Yes. So it is. So I therefore implore all those that had scheduled to travel to South Africa to continue with their movement. Another point, Right Honorable Speaker, the Shadow Minister raised the concern that we should continue with engagements. Yes. Actually, we are continuing with diplomatic engagements. And very soon, I will be traveling to South Africa for more engagements. How I wish that even the Shadow Minister can accompany me to South Africa for further engagements. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable colleagues. Now, so honorable colleagues, diplomacy is not conducted on emotions. And in this house, we never open much debate on issues of diplomacy because we know how delicate they are. But the Honorable Msira John, I saw him saying he had lost a child, was bad. Honorable, I want to give you an opportunity. You're the only one I'm going to allow on this. And I request you, Honorable, I know, don't allow emotions to get ahead of you, and the diplomatic route, allow it to take its course. And you know we talked yesterday.
Most obliged.
Thank you.
My right honorable Speaker. In line with what has happened to our dear Africans, sons and daughters, and in line with our constitution, especially Objective 28, with our international relations, and the government in power, one of the 4 principles is about Pan-Africanism. We do understand, Right Honorable Speaker, that our brothers in South Africa ought to have understood this. I want, in good measure, to thank the Honorable Minister, and especially for what the government has done on evacuations from South Africa. I have my own residents, over 50 of them already in Kyangwanzi, undergoing psychosocial support, which is okay on the side of government. But of course, equally, Mr. Minister, sir, this is not xenophobia. This is not Afrophobia. It is Negrophobia. Negro, they hate only black. You have been in South Africa, right, Honorable Speaker? In all these places. You are aware there are some illegals who are white, Arab, Indian. They are going for only anybody with the Rasta skin like mine. That cannot be tolerated, certainly. But we want also to say, before you, and at an appropriate time, of course, I will lay on table one of the deceased, one of those ones murdered by these vigilantes. Parliament can see, and it's not good. Even when somebody has gone there illegally, there are processes, there are international protocols towards that, Mr. Speaker, you know it. And I want to request that I lay on table displayed for the press to see. Yeah. He's called Nasima Ronald, son of Fred Lwandanyi, from my constituency, actually my home area. And he's dead. I want to thank government for evacuating the body. Thank you so much, and the support to the family especially. And we must give credit where it has been done. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to say one or two things in 1 minute. One is that our government should link up with other regional bodies. Where is the AU? Where is the COMESA? SADC, East African Community? They are quiet. Completely quiet. Completely quiet. This is why some of us have gone solo out there. The other very last one, we need these returnees to be psycho-managed, because most of them have been investors in South Africa. In Pretoria, we have a young man from Entebbe who has a school with over 10,000 students. I visited there, and he employs 950 South Africans. He's an investor. And you should know today that amongst those who have returned forcibly by these vigilantes, by Wanumuchom and others, I want to say some of them are investors. I want the minister to investigate. Not all of them are illegals there. No, that's not the case. That would be underscoring the whole thing. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Alenyo Masho, it was also the same, I remember, when you came to my office. But yours, did people die or they returned? You know, these are colleagues who came to my office.
Thank you very much.
This matter.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Marshall Alenyo, Member of Parliament for Jonam County. Right Honorable Speaker, it is slightly the same, but I spent my life fighting with the ANC when we were at the university. The Honorable Wanyoto, you remember, with those of the late Noble Mayombo, we used to feed the ANC guerrillas who used to come from Algeria and from those training camps. This is not the South Africa we expected. But that said, we now have a group called the March and March Group. We need to designate it as a terror group against all the Africans in the whole continent, because this March and March Group is only targeting Africans. Secondly, on the issue of the evacuation of Africans from South Africa, the name of General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the commander of GDF, has not come out properly. This operation was single-handedly sanctioned by the CDF, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. I wanted this House to upload that patriotic effort of the General Muhoozi, who single-handedly went for our people in South Africa. So I thought to put that in order. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable colleagues. I picked one NRM, one opposition, one independent. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Keep us updated. Next item, I wanted to guide the clerk that the Right Honorable Prime Minister will be going for... Right Honourable Prime Minister, allow me to make my communication.
I wanted to make
Right
some
Honourable
guidance.
Prime Minister, I request
Just
you...
one-
Right
just
Honourable Prime
1
Minister, allow the Speaker to guide. Right Honourable Prime Minister has a meeting, so to do with Karamoja, and we have been pestering her to work on that issue. So I want us to first sort out item number 6. As you come, you can make clarification you wanted to make, Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Item number 6 on the other paper, motion for resolution of Parliament to express gratitude to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for the clear and precise exposition of government policy contained in the State of the Nation Address to Parliament of Uganda on 4th June 2026.
Right Honourable Prime Minister. A procedure, Honourable Numbers. There is a procedure matter, Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, may it be understood that I don't intend to stop people from appreciating the President. I want to raise, Right Honourable Speaker. I was here when this type of motion started coming up. This started as a motion of backbenchers, Right Honourable Speaker, who would have interfaced with the President and then come up with a motion to thank him. But the direction it is taking now to be a motion moved by the Prime Minister, who is the lead of government business, Mr. Right Honourable Speaker. It is as if the President, after giving the State of the Nation address, through his Prime Minister, is bringing it here as a business of government to thank himself, Right Honourable Speaker. And to me, Right Honourable Speaker, I recall one time when the President of Uganda was addressing people and said, I hate people who thank me for performing my duty, because that is my role. To address the nation in a State of the Nation address is an obligation given by the Constitution. How would it appear that now this is a motion of government coming from the lead of government business, Right Honourable Speaker? I beg to move, and I want you, Mr. Speaker, to understand my concern. This was a motion for backbenchers, Right Honourable Speaker, not government business. I beg to move.
Thank you. Now, Honourable colleagues, unfortunately in the rules, we don't have anywhere it is gazetted as a motion for either backbencher or front bench. Now, this is a motion, okay? This is a... that's, of course, that's a general thought of the Speaker, okay? Yeah, so, but now, the person moving a motion is a woman MP of Kakumiro, okay? And the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister. Number two, this motion usually comes from the government side. Now, on my side, it's not my duty to appoint who is going to be moving a motion. The moment the government side writes, this is the one moving the motion, whether it's a backbench among theirs, I do that. Then after this motion being moved, honourable colleagues, I'm going to call the leader of opposition under Rule 55 to also make his response. After making the response, then colleagues, because the two are debated together, I will give you starting next Tuesday, because I need to give you time to read, to go and prepare. Starting next Tuesday. This is the motion where I would want each one of you who want to speak to speak. Okay? From our projection, it will take 2 to 4 weeks us debating the state of the nation, so that you talk without being interrupted. So I wanted to give much more guidance after all this, but let me take the opportunity on this. And also, I'll be requesting those who want to speak to register with your whips. Why? When I get the list, I easily follow up. Okay? I easily follow up. Honorable colleagues, I can see also I've already started receiving notes from some of you that you are annoyed I'm not picking you. We have just started. I'm going to buy you Panadol because you're going to be annoyed and you burst if you come with that kind of. You get it? Not a phone upon. I've just received a note from someone. We have just started. You tighten your belts, you will stand up 10 times and I won't pick you if it's not your turn. But also you can stand up and I immediately pick you, depending on the matters. And honorable colleagues, let me tell you this, I have to be as fair as possible. And one principle I use, I cannot give another member an opportunity to speak before others speak. Okay, so let's try to be, let's be accommodative. It's a tricky situation for me too. I wish I had more time, or I had 10 microphones and I can pick 10 of you at the same time. I would have done that. Right Honorable Prime Minister? Right Honorable Woman MP Kakumiro?
Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I move under Rule 58 of our Rules of Procedure to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to express gratitude to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for the clear and precise exposition of government policy contained in the State of the National Address to the Parliament of Uganda on 4th June 2026. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, whereas Article 1011 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, requires the President to deliver to Parliament an address on the state of the nation at the beginning of each session of Parliament, and whereas on 4th June 2026, His Excellency the President, in compliance with Article 1011 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, delivered the State of the Nation address to Parliament at Kororo ceremonial grounds, aware that in the State of the Nation address, His Excellency the President gave clear guidance on key anchors to the country's economic progress for this term of government, including no more sleep, zero tolerance to corruption, and no more politeness to non-performers. Right Honorable Speaker and members, noting that His Excellency the President emphasized that despite a few challenges, Uganda's economy has expanded 17-fold over the last 40 years of recovery, expansion, diversification, value addition, entering the knowledge economy, and transformation, as reflected in the GDP rise from $3.9 billion in 1986 to now US dollars 69.3 billion by the forex exchange method, all to 197.1 billion by the PPP method, and the GDP per capita has risen to US dollars 1,278, while the threshold for the lower middle income status is US dollars 1,136. Further noting that His Excellency the President noted that the household poverty has declined from 56.4% in 1992 to now 16.1%, life expectancy from 43 years to now 68 years, and the infant mortality from 122 per 1,000 born alive to now 36 per 1,000 born alive. Aware that His Excellency the President stated that the peace, law and order maintained by the various law enforcement agencies provide supportive infrastructure necessary for the country's development, with economic growth currently projected at 6.4 and the GDP expected to grow by 10% in the 2027-2028 financial year, increasing the size of the economy to US dollars 80 billion. Appreciating the President's reassurance to the nation that most of the essential factors for wealth creation and all the necessary requirements for building a prosperous Uganda are in place, including the good constructed road network, the revamping of the meter gauge railway, and the building of the standard gauge railway, as well as establishment of pipelines for crude petroleum products. Further appreciating that His Excellency the President informed the nation that the citizens to effectively participate in both the vertical and horizontal integration of the national economy and to achieve massive production and job creation, the citizens must join the money economy and transit from the traditional pre-capitalist subsistence systems of working and utilizing the government-established 4-acre wealth generation model and access government funding through the Operation Wealth Creation, the Paris Development Model, and the NADS, among others. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Parliament that Parliament expresses gratitude to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for his and concise exposition of the State of the Nation's address delivered to Parliament of Uganda at Kororo Ceremonial Grounds, Kampala, on 4th June 2026. Number 2, that Parliament commits itself to the promotion of the great ideas, values, and qualities driven by no more sleep philosophy as advanced by His Excellency the President. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you.
I beg to move.
Thank you. Is the motion seconded? Honorable Rocky, Honorable Kor, Honorable Algon. I see all representatives of UPDF. Honorable Kwaringa, Honorable Biko, Honorable Msasizi, Right Honorable Chionga. By, from what I see, by 95% of this house. I must mention Honorable Mary Kutesa and Honorable Makumbi Henry. You are seconded. Thank you. Now, this is a motion which is very clear. I don't know, Right Honorable, do you want, that's why you've given it so in the detail. Maybe what we can do, Right Honorable, your seconders to save time can come in. Then at the conclusion of the motion, okay? These critical issues, I will give you an opportunity. You justify, you go out, you leave us here. And you leave us with the motion. So, if you can use 2 minutes, because I can see the justification is too long. We can have it on record, but you summarize, okay?
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker and members, this is my justification. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the motion to appreciate His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for his clear, firm, and inspiring exposition of government policy during the State of the Nation address delivered on 4th June 2026 at Cross Ceremonial Grounds. Right Honorable Speaker, with the overwhelming renewed mandate, I repeat this, overwhelming renewed mandate from the people of Uganda who elected him in January 2026, the President reminded us of his declaration during the presidential inauguration that this Kisanja, no more sleep. He emphasized that that laziness and corruption among leaders will not be tolerated. To me, this is very important. He also emphasized that economic transformation of Uganda has not been accidental or by chance, but a deliberate journey spanning over 6 decades. His Excellency noted that they started small with minimal resources to educate communities to abandon nomadism and engage in more productive farming. This has yielded distinctive economic growth and financial freedom that continues into the next generation. He demonstrated this with live testimonies of transformed families in the cattle corridor. Right Honorable Speaker, let me give a synopsis of this transformation. For example, 1, milk production in Uganda is 5.4 billion liters, up from 200 million liters per annum in 1986. Coffee, from 2 million bags to 9.3 million bags of 60 kilograms. Currently, Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda is the leading producer and exporter of coffee in Africa. Cement production rose from 4,900 metric tons to 7 million metric tons today. Maize rose from 200,000 metric tons to 5 million metric tons now. Banana production from 6,660,000 metric tons to now 11 million metric tons. Cassava from 3.5 million to 4.5 million metric tons. Sugar from 152 million metric tons to 700 metric tons. Electricity generation from 60 megawatts to 2,098 metric tons. Right Honorable Speaker, government is aiming at 50,000 megawatts from hydro, solar, gas, wind, nuclear, and geothermal. Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda moved from merely importing condensed milk, butter, cheese, yogurt, powdered milk, to now also exporting these products. To me, this is very important for members to note. And this earns Uganda US dollars 285.4 million in export earnings and saves Uganda 1,560 million US dollars in imports. Right Honorable Speaker, this motion gives us an opportunity as leaders to reflect on how we too can educate and mobilize our people that we lead in our constituencies towards transformed livelihoods. It is a pivotal moment to appreciate the President's insights on the potential of Uganda's economy in the sectors of commercial agriculture, manufacturing, services, and ICT. Right Honorable Speaker and members, His Excellency reminded us of the national resistance movement's initiatives to move people out of subsistence economy over the years. He urged us to mobilize Ugandans to abandon unproductive subsistence farming methods and land fragmentation and embrace the 4-acre model. He highlighted government programs such as the Parish Development Model, Emyoga, the growth opportunities for women enterprises with minimal interest rates that can help our people. His Excellency further echoed that fundamentals for economic development are in place and on track, citing peace and security, infrastructure development, to mention but a few. He called on us, Ugandans, to build on this base to become job creators and wealth creators. In addition, His Excellency highlighted the importance of the Pan-African agenda for strategic political stability and shared socio-economic growth. That Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Seconders? No, Honorable Mary Kutesa. I have 2 formal seconders. They are the ones I will allow today.
Right Honorable Speaker, this is my maiden speech in the 12th Parliament. I am therefore entitled to all the rights and privileges that come with a maiden speech. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I raise to second the motion to appreciate His Excellency the President for his clear, visionary and firm State of the Nation address that was delivered to this August House on the 4th of June 2026. I second the motion for the following grounds. Specifically, there are 3, Right Honorable Speaker and members. Number 1 is the strong stance against corruption. Right Honorable Speaker, the President gave a stern, uncompromising, historic declaration of war against this great vice holding our nation back. Corruption is the only vice holding our productivity back. By declaring a season of no corruption for public officers, for this House of Parliament, he has directly echoed the cries of the ordinary persons that we represent. It is clear that the complacency, the bureaucratic embezzlement of government resources, the poor service delivery at our government institutions, inflation or increasing project procurement costs, and other irregularities witnessed at every level of government are not the responsibility of the President. He is waking us up to deal with this. Right Honorable Speaker and members, corruption is just not a moral failure. It is an economic crime. It is the biggest risk we have against our security and peace in this country. Every shilling stolen is a shilling taken away from a mother accessing a hospital. Every shilling stolen takes us and our goods away from reaching the markets. The President's speech called the 12th Parliament that we have a constitutional duty, and he reminds us, colleagues, that we stand by this constitutional duty under Article 79(3) to promote democratic governance and provide oversight for this country. The President has challenged the legislature, the cabinet, the public service, and every Ugandan. Stop corruption. Friends, we cannot start and continue blaming the President. We are the ones, every individual, every member, every citizen. On point 2, Your Honorable Right Honorable Speaker and members, is the point of peace and security. His Excellency gave the nation an unwavering assurance of continued enjoyment of peace in this country, which is the bedrock of our thriving economy. Democracy cannot be absolute except when we have peace, law, and order. So without security, our legislative mandates, our economic policies, our national development frameworks would all be meaningless. We, as Ugandans' friends in this region, have enjoyed peace, and uncommittedly, we cannot deny, because of the one president of the region who is providing peace in this region, His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Right Honorable Speaker, we are about to conclude an intense historic election which has brought many of us as members of this House, and skeptics thought it would be chaotic. Detractors thought it would be exploited, and the vulnerabilities therein would be used to fail a democratic exercise. We must note that we are here, the election period is ending, and we are confident that it will end peacefully. I think it is in order that this August House, Right Honorable Speaker, should appreciate the Commander-in-Chief, specifically for his unwavering stewardship of national security architecture, and the gallant men and women who are in our law enforcement agencies that keep us and our country safe. We cannot take it for granted. The third point, Right Honorable Speaker and members, is the enabling economic transformation factor. The President said no more sleep. Colleagues, and Right Honorable Speaker, our peace as a nation will not be absolute if we still have Ugandans living in poverty. The President's address to the nation declared war on politeness that keep our people in poverty. It declared war on laziness. He said, don't kutuhenda, literally meaning, don't break us. Everybody must work. The President asked us to forget our big titles, to engage the communities we serve, those that have sent us to this House, to monitor wealth creation programs such as PDM, Emyoga, and all the others, to ensure that our communities are engaged, participating, and making household incomes that contribute to the nation's development. Colleagues, the President tasked us, the citizens, and he woke up to our duty as is enshrined in our Constitution, Article 29, Objective 29 of our 1995 Constitution, demands that every citizen of this country should be engaged in gainful work. That work for the gain of every citizen, for the gain of their family, for the gain of this nation, for the gain of development of Uganda. It is the job of every Ugandan. I am concluding, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, it's not members who give, you know? It's not members who give space on the floor. So when members say, yes, more time, and you switch on, that's not how we run the House, okay? Yeah. Just conclude, Honorable, okay? Conclude.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I was on the conclusion, and I may not say everything that is in my conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker and members, but 35% out of 80% of our arable land is underutilization. It means we are performing under 50%. We must wake up our people to chase poverty by utilizing at least 60% of the 80 as a start. So, Right Honorable Speaker, it is therefore fitting that this 12th Parliament registers with profound gratitude to the head of state for the clear guidance, vision, prioritizing peace, wealth creation, against and the war against corruption as a launch pad for this country's attainment of our Vision 2040. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Makumbi. And welcome back to the House.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, members of Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to justify the motion thanking His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for the clear and precise exposition of government policy contained in the State of the Nation address. Parliament, expressing gratitude, Right Honorable Speaker, to His Excellency the President, is an established parliamentary practice to acknowledge his constitutional duty to present government policy before Parliament and preserving unity, peace, security, and which are crucial for the socio-economic transformation. Mr. Speaker, sir, the motion further reaffirms the President's commitment to working with the executive for implementation of programs and policies that promote the welfare and prosperity of the people of Uganda. The President further focused on the rule of law, national security, and institutional capacity, as he emphasized that the strong and legal framework is the vital protection of the major government projects like energy, roads, that will expedite the growth of the economy, attracts investors, and create employment for the increasing population. Mr. Speaker, sir, the State of Nation address provides the strategic policy direction that guides Parliament in the discharge of its constitutional mandate of legislation, appropriation, oversight, and representation. The address further establishes the framework within which ministries, departments, and agencies align their programs, plans, and budgets to advance Uganda's tenfold growth strategy. Mr. Speaker, sir, His Excellency emphasized that national transformation depends on the integrity of public service, vigilant leadership, and prudent management of public resources through accountability. The No More Sleep slogan, Mr. Speaker, calls for active, ethical, and result-oriented leadership at every level of government. Right Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, embracing this address as a house, as the Parliament, we are choosing to build a highly productive, self-sustained economy. We are empowering every Ugandan to be active, to be an active shareholder in the nation's wealth. I urge this August House, Right Honorable Speaker, to support the motion with one voice. Let us convey our deepest gratitude to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda. And let us commit to mobilizing our communities, constituents, to implement this revolutionary vision. I beg to move Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Makumbi. Thank you. Lop. Just Lop, wait. Honorable colleague, yes? Yes. You have an issue? No, just access the microphone. When I say you have an issue, it means I need you to talk to me on record.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present or to support the motion. Move.
No, Honorable, if you had listened to me earlier, I guided that today the motion is moved. Okay. Then I allow only 2 seconders who are on the motion as a requirement. And then we invoke Rule 55. The leader of opposition presents a response to the state of the nation. Okay. And because the two shall be debated together, you need some time. So we shall start the debate next week, and I will start with you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay?
Thank you, Right.
Yes. And number 2, the clerk should ensure that the State of the Nation is uploaded. The State of the Nation address is uploaded on al fresco so that members can access it. We had already discussed with the government chief whip. The leader of opposition has already uploaded his copy. Leader of opposition.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to appreciate the woman MP for Kakumiro. I see she has stepped away. For her remarks, she said she was making those remarks as woman MP for Kakumiro. And the colleagues who have spoken to us this afternoon. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members of Parliament, the State of the Nation address is one of the most important constitutional duties entrusted to a head of state under Article 101 of our Constitution. It should give the country an honest account of its condition, acknowledge the challenges that the citizens face, and set out measures to address them. It should not be a catalogue of government activities or a victory speech. It's an opportunity for accountability. The head of state built NRM's historical journey from 1959, the reach of PDM into 3.7 million households, and a projected 10% GDP growth. He talked about milk surpluses and coffee exports, dismissed young people seeking work abroad by calling Uganda a paradise, which they are abandoning, and named journalists whose writing displeases him. He did not speak with clarity about the debt that is consuming our country's future. The hospitals without medicines, the schools failing a generation of children, the roads deteriorating every rainy season, or the corruption documented in audit report after audit report. And I thank colleagues, they've pointed out some of these issues. Colleagues, the true state of the nation is measured by whether citizens can access quality health care, afford education, find meaningful employment, earn a decent living, and live under institutions that are honest and accountable. The farmer wanted to know why inputs are expensive and why markets are unreliable. The unemployed graduate wanted to know where jobs would come from. The patient wanted to know why medicines are unavailable. The parent wanted to know why universal education still costs more than they can afford. The taxpayer wanted assurance that public resources will be protected from theft. Most of those questions, honestly, went unanswered. Right Honorable Speaker, I have prepared this response drawing on official government and public institutional sources, including the Auditor General, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, sector performance reports, budget documents, and parliamentary committee findings, reports that we have passed here as Parliament. The central question before this House is this: are the lives of ordinary Ugandan citizens improving? On that measure, there is considerable work to be done, colleagues. And I'm glad that that's a point that is admitted on both sides of the House. Honorable Speaker, let me tease out certain sectors: economy and public debt. The head of state cited GDP expansion to $69.3 billion US dollars and a per capita income of $1,420 US dollars, just above the lower middle income threshold of about $1,136 US dollars. Yet many Ugandans are asking a simple question: if the economy is growing, why is life becoming more difficult? Growth must show up in household incomes, employment, and access to services. The Ministry of Finance background to the budget financial year 2025-2026 report puts rural poverty at 19.4% against 10.3% in urban areas, and notes that 7 sub-regions, home to 44% of Uganda's population, account for 70% of the country's poor. These are Ministry of Finance figures. Growth that does not reduce poverty or improve the cost of living for ordinary families is in the end largely statistical. The most serious threat to Uganda's economic future is our public debt. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, our public debt has risen from roughly 70 trillion shillings in financial year 2020-2021 to over 126 trillion shillings today. Listen to this, colleagues. This is an 80% increase in 5 years. 80% increase of our debt burden in just 5 years. That should worry all of us, colleagues. The debt to GDP ratio is at 53%, above the 50% threshold that was set by Uganda's own Charter for Fiscal Responsibility. And domestic interest to revenue has risen to 23.66%. More than 1 shilling in every 3 collected now goes to creditors before a teacher is paid or medicine procured. Interest payments have climbed steadily from 3.9 trillion shillings in financial year 2021-2022 to a projected 13 trillion shillings in financial year 2026-2027, for a cumulative 46.9 trillion over 6 years, all flowing to foreign-owned commercial banks. The financial year 2026-2027 budget adds a further 185.5 billion in commitment fees on loans signed but not yet used. These are loans signed but not yet used. We have got to pay 185.5 billion shillings. This should be criminal. This is wastage, money that is supposed to avail services in all of our constituencies. Uganda is paying for borrowing that has not happened. Honorable colleagues, we keep borrowing, but without corresponding returns. The Auditor General has reportedly flagged weak project implementation, delayed completion, cost overruns, and underutilized borrowed funds. Among them, the Lubowa Specialized Hospital arrangement with Enrique Pinetti, the Rocco Construction bailout, the Day by a Farmer bailout, the Inspire Africa Coffee Venture in Ntungamo, and the Atiak Sugar Factory under UDC. All private ventures financed through public borrowing, whose returns to citizens are yet to be demonstrated. Public revenue is being diverted from schools, hospitals, roads, and agriculture to service debt whose benefits ordinary Ugandans cannot see or feel. Sustainable growth requires prudent fiscal management, productive investment, value for money, and genuine accountability in the use of public resources. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, let me speak about cost of living and employment. One of the most glaring omissions, in my view, in the State of the Nation address was the rising cost of living. and we see this every day, everywhere in our constituencies. Households are grappling with food, transport, school, healthcare, and rent costs that together exhaust whatever income they earn. The UBOS National Governance, Peace and Security Survey of November 2025 shows that food accounts for over 50% of low-income household expenditure. Not a statistic to be tracked in a spreadsheet, but a household emergency at every meal. Fuel prices of 6,500 shillings and above per litre upcountry drive up the cost of everything that moves by road. And Uganda spends approximately 600 billion shillings annually on petroleum imports priced in foreign exchange. Every weakening of the shilling transfers directly into the price of a meal, a school run, and a market trader's fare. The employment picture is equally serious. Uganda's population currently stands at 45.9 million, yet only 9.4 million are in formal employment. Approximately 700,000 young people enter the labor market every year. While manufacturing, the sector best placed to absorb them, contributes only 8.4% to our country's GDP and employs only 8.3% of the workforce, below the 13% average for least developed countries. The formal economy cannot absorb what the population produces. That's a fact. And the consequence is visible on every street corner and in every family surviving on informal, insecure work. Between 2020 and 2025, an estimated 500,000 Ugandans took up work contracts abroad, most in the Middle East, under conditions widely documented as exploitative. These are not people abandoning a paradise, as is suggested. They are people searching for opportunities that they cannot find at home. A government that exports its youth as cheap labor and then mocks them for leaving has forfeited the moral authority to speak about their economic transformation. What is required is deliberate investment in industrialization, agro-processing, manufacturing, tourism, and genuine support for small and medium enterprises, with success measured by decent livelihoods created, not programs announced. Let me talk about corruption and accountability, which the Honorable Kutesa Kamuli is very passionate about, and I applaud her for that. Corruption, colleagues, is still one of the biggest obstacles to Uganda's development. The Inspector General of Government, in their Anti-Corruption Annual Report 2024-2025, estimated that Uganda loses about 10 trillion shillings annually to corruption. 10 trillion shillings per year dissipates. The Auditor General's 2025 Annual Report found unaccounted funds, unsupported expenditure, and procurement irregularities in 72% of audited entities. These are government entities that are audited. Payroll audits continue to uncover thousands of ghost workers. And the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority has reported persistent irregularities in public contracting, including inflated prices and non-competitive awards. The cost is measured in schools not built, medicines not delivered, and opportunities denied. Parliament was told in January of 2026, this year, that only 31% of the Auditor General's recommendations for financial year 2023-2024 had been fully implemented, while more than a third were not implemented at all. The fight against corruption will be judged by stolen funds recovered, audit recommendations implemented, and the investigation, prosecution, and conviction of those responsible, regardless of office or political affiliation. Honorable Speaker, let me speak about human rights, civic freedoms, and justice. A nation's strength, colleagues, is measured not only by economic growth, but by its commitment to constitutional freedoms, human dignity, and the rule of law, an area that we always pay little attention to. The Uganda Human Rights Commission's quarterly report, that's January to April of this year, recorded over 1,200 claimants of arbitrary arrest, torture, enforced disappearance, and lawful detention, a 34% increase on the same period in 2025. So this only gets worse. At least 47 journalists and media workers faced arrest, harassment, and confiscation of their equipment in the preceding 12 months. Arbitrary arrests feed directly into the crisis in our prisons and our courts. Even those produced in courts spend lengthy periods without getting justice. And the proposals by our head of state to abolish bail for a number of offenses does not help matters, colleagues. % on remand, some waiting for years to be tried, for years. By October 2025, the Auditor General found 115 of 413 children in one rehabilitation center had completed their sentences, but were still being held because the system lacked capacity to process their release. This is wrong, colleagues. The chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, Mariam Wangadia, has publicly accused some state actors of deliberately weakening this vital institution. She has argued that despite the Commission's critical constitutional mandate to safeguard the rights enshrined in Chapter 4 of our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, appointments have been made on political considerations rather than competence. She described some appointees as broke and sickly political failures, suggesting that such appointments have undermined the Commission's effectiveness. This matter ought to be addressed. When we see government officials speaking out, lambasting publicly, this has got to be looked into. I hope government will. Constitutional rights are not privileges granted at government's discretion. They belong to every Ugandan by virtue of the Constitution, and security agencies must operate within the law, with every citizen enjoying equal protection under it. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, sometimes government blames opposition, civil society and media houses for making the country look bad. But if we are to be honest with ourselves, we would realize that some government officials contribute a great deal to making our country look bad. Whenever people are abducted and tortured, or when media houses get closed arbitrarily, these violations of the law make it to international press, and you've been seeing international press report about these issues. How then do we expect tourists to come to our country with all these negative situations? We've been dealing with a situation where most of the world thought numerous people were dying of Ebola in Uganda, which of course was not true. But travel advisories were issued, and many would-be tourists cancelled their visits to Uganda, which affected our tourism. And as we clarify to the world that the Ebola situation in Uganda was blown out of proportion and misunderstood, and I think government, have been seeing government officials speak out. I saw Alan Kasuja, Uganda Media Center, ED and others saying, look, the problem is not as has been described in this our country, which is a good thing, that you get to defend our country and the facts come out. Because people think Ugandans are dropping dead of Ebola every day. That's not true. So as we continue to clarify and defend our country, which we must be able to do as government, we find ourselves having to deal with international press reports about violations of the law. So we need to address all these issues. Potential investors want to come and set up business in Uganda to employ our young people. But this can easily get discouraged because of what they see and hear. This hurts our economy, and it affects all of us, colleagues. Civil society organizations have been targeted for suspension and closure. Most of them have had their accounts frozen by the state. No explanations, no court orders. Why does government target people and entities who point out the ills in our governance instead of addressing those ills? We have to build this our country together. So dissenting voices should not be targeted for persecution. We need to listen to the issues of concern being raised, and then we work towards fixing those issues. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, we held our national election at the start of this year, but there are still many unanswered questions. Why does the military continue to interfere with our elections? This did not just happen to we opposition competitors, by the way. I saw a number of colleagues from the NRM raising similar concerns in their constituencies as well. Why hasn't government accounted for the billions spent on the biometric voter verification kit, which did not function on election day? Why hasn't the Electoral Commission publicized the declaration of results forms, which they based on to declare results? Colleagues, our country needs to heal from the tumult that has become of our elections. But we can only do so, we can only heal when these questions are sufficiently responded to. Mr. Speaker and colleagues, let me talk about health. Patients face medicine stockouts, long waiting times, inadequate staffing, and rising out-of-pocket costs. For many families, illness is simultaneously a health emergency and a financial crisis. Somebody once said, most Ugandans are one medical bill away from poverty. The Ministry of Health Sector Performance Report of financial year 2024-2025 shows malaria is responsible for 27% of outpatient visits and 19% of inpatient deaths, placing Uganda among the top 10 countries globally for malaria burden. HIV prevalence stands at 5.3%. Tuberculosis affects 200 per 100,000 people, with a 72% treatment success rate against the World Health Organization's 85%. Non-communicable diseases account for 33% of hospital admissions and 11% of deaths, with hypertension affecting 26% of adults and diabetes 5%, mostly undiagnosed. Skilled birth attendance falls to 55% in rural areas against a 74% national average. So the national average looks fair. We need to now address the rural one, because national average is 74%. That's fair. But the problem is now in the rural areas, which we need to address. And a contraceptive prevalence rate of 39% drives a total fertility rate of 4.7 children per woman. The doctor-to-patient ratio in Uganda is 1 to 25,000. Ratio in Uganda is 1 to 25,000, in comparison to World Health Organization recommendation of 1 to 1,000. Over 56% of approved health worker posts are vacant, and 60% of Ugandan trained doctors leave the public system within 5 years. The 132.6 billion that is allocated to recruit 16,963 health workers is welcome, but without addressing pay, working conditions, and career development, new recruits will simply accelerate the exodus. They will leave. We also continue to entreat government to abandon the plan to stop facilitating medical interns. This policy is counterproductive. Financing is the most fundamental failure. The financial year 2026-2027 health budget stands at 5.7 trillion, 6.1% of the national budget, and it has remained unchanged from last year, and less than half of the 15% Abuja Declaration, which we committed to as a country. Government signed this 2 decades ago. Per capita public health spending is at $37, less than half the WHO minimum of $86. National medical stores required 1.5 trillion in financial year 2024-2025 and received 1.4 trillion, while Mulago National Referral Hospital received 18.2 billion against a documented need of 72.3 billion. This is our national referral. Let's fund it more, because that's a 75% funding gap at the country's flagship hospital. Development partners finance 64% of essential medicines in financial year 24-25. Government contributed 36%. Over 41% of health costs are paid directly out of pocket, and 40% of facilities experienced drug stockouts of antimalarials, antibiotics, and antiretrovirals in 2023. Uganda has got 1 ambulance per 200,000 people. 1 per 200,000 people. That's why colleagues always buy ambulances. Ideally, we shouldn't be doing that, but we end up doing it because of this gap. Only 12% of facilities have got functioning emergency units. And referral hospitals operate at roughly 10% of ICU capacity due to inadequate staffing. Mental health apparently is the most neglected area of all. 75% of Ugandans who live with mental disorders receive no treatment. 75% of the Ugandans who live with mental disorders receive no treatment. Only 5 dedicated mental health units exist nationwide, and the sector receives less than 1% of the health budget against a WHO recommendation of 5%. Right Honorable Speaker, we have severally demanded for the completion of Lubowa Specialized Hospital and proper accountability for the billions spent on that project thus far. Government needs to provide answers to the questions about Lubowa Hospital. Incidentally, I'm interested in this hospital being up and running. Some people think that we in the opposition, we want the project to fail and for government to look bad. Actually, I want this project up and running so that taxpayer money is accounted for. But more importantly, for people to be able to access healthcare. They don't have to then run out of the country. So we are waiting for Lubowa Specialized Hospital. Let me talk about education. Honorable members, few matters weigh on Ugandan families as heavily as education. Yet we often give the challenge in this sector little serious attention. The Auditor General's report for the year ended 31st December 2025 found that across 157 local governments inspected, 136 secondary schools had no science laboratory, and a further 270 had laboratories that were inadequately equipped. Yet government introduced a policy to promote sciences. 182 schools lacked libraries. 251 had no teacher accommodation. 380 reported inadequate classrooms, with some schools operating condemned pit latrines. And this is dangerous for our little children. There were cracked walls and deteriorating roofs. Government speaks of competence-based learning, yet many schools lack the infrastructure to implement it. We need to fix this.